Melt stored stress. That is not a wish. It is a mechanism, and it has been waiting inside you the whole time. There is a discharge built into every mammal on Earth. Every wild animal completes it. You were trained to abort it. That suppression carries a cost. And the cost lives in one specific muscle, a muscle you can feel right now. The reason no one ever taught you this is not because it was lost. It was removed. There is a precise moment in the 20th century when the West decided that shaking was a sign of weakness instead of a sign of health. We will reach that moment. And within 60 seconds of doing what this transmission shows you, something measurable shifts inside your nervous system. If you are wearing a heart rate monitor, you will watch it move in real time. Right now, feel the front of your hips, where the thighs meet the pelvis. That tightness. That is not soreness. That is the psoas. And it has been contracting since the first day someone told you to hold it together. The psoas is the deepest muscle in your body. It runs from the lumbar spine, threads through the pelvis, and anchors into the femur. It is the only muscle that connects your spine directly to your legs. That makes it the structural core of the entire fight-or-flight response. When threat arrives, the psoas fires first. It pulls you into the curl, the crouch, the brace. In a wild animal, the brace releases the moment the threat passes. In you, it does not. Every suppressed stress event lays down another layer. The argument where you stayed calm. The diagnosis you absorbed without flinching. The year you carried everything. All of it. Physically stored. The storage medium is fascia, the thin, gripping web that wraps every muscle. Fascia is not passive packaging. It records. It thickens around a held contraction and locks the pattern in place, like a recording that keeps playing long after the moment that made it is gone. This is why stress does not leave when the stressor does. The stressor leaves. The contraction stays. Because the body never ran the discharge protocol. Clench your jaw right now. Hold it for 3 seconds. Feel that? That tension radiating up into your skull. That is a micro version of what your psoas has been doing for years. Except your psoas cannot unclench on its own. Not without the protocol. Watch a gazelle survive a cheetah attack. The cheetah lunges. The cheetah misses. The gazelle escapes, and then it stops. And it shakes. Full body tremoring. 90 seconds of it, uncontrollable. Then it lifts its head and grazes as if nothing happened. The trauma is gone, biologically discharged. Because the gazelle did not abort the protocol. Every mammal on Earth does this, every mammal except one. The deer does it. The dog does it after a car nearly clips it on the road. The rabbit does it in the open field. The shake is not random. It is a nervous system reset, hardwired across hundreds of millions of years of mammalian survival. And the ancients knew. Long before there was a word for it, the traditions encoded it on purpose. In yogic practice, there are the kriyas, the spontaneous, involuntary shaking that arose in deep states. The masters did not treat it as a malfunction. They taught the practitioner not to suppress it, but to sustain it. Across the shamanic world, African, Siberian, Native American, the shaking rituals appear again and again, not as theater, not as ceremony for its own sake, as maintenance, as the deliberate, repeated discharge of accumulated charge from the body. In Qigong, the tremor is induced on command, shaking practiced daily as a longevity discipline to keep the system clear, fluid, and unlocked into old age. The ancients did not call it TRE. They called it necessary. And then the West removed it. Not gradually, institutionally. The mandates of the modern century, Compose yourself, don't shake, keep it together. We're carried through schools, through corporate culture, through early psychiatry. Generation after generation was trained to abort the one protocol the body built to discharge stress. We called the tremoring weak. We called the people who tremored broken. And we paid for that decision in chronic disease, in cortisol dominance, in the slow destruction of sleep. Here is what the shaking actually does. 4 mechanisms, no padding. First, the gait. In 1965, 2 researchers, Melzack and Wall, published gait control theory. The body has a single gate at the dorsal horn of the spinal cord, where signals compete for passage to the brain. Rapid, large fiber movement signals, the A-beta fibers, physically crowd out the slower stress and pain signals. The body cannot fully process both at once. One gate wins. When you tremor, the movement wins. Second, the vagus. Roughly 80% of the vagus nerve does not run from brain to body. It runs the other way, body to brain. These are afferent fibers, carrying signals upward to the brainstem. Sustained shaking stimulates them directly. Your brainstem receives a parasympathetic stand-down signal generated by the movement itself, not by thought, not by willpower, by the body reporting upward that it is safe. Third, the adrenaline. Circulating epinephrine does not dissolve on its own. It requires muscular contraction to metabolize. This is the part almost no one understands. You cannot think your way out of adrenaline. You have to move through it. The rapid cycling of the muscle spindles during a tremor is precisely the metabolic engine that burns it off. Fourth, the all clear. Deep in the brainstem sits the reticular activating system, the gatekeeper of arousal. Free, loose, unguarded limb movement is a signal it reads as resolution. A braced animal is still in danger. A loosely shaking animal is past it. The survival state stands down. This is not philosophy. This is 60-year-old neuroscience hiding in plain sight. Melzack and Wall published the mechanism in 1965. It was always there. We chose to suppress it rather than use it. So before you begin, one instruction matters more than the rest. What you are about to feel is not weakness. It is your nervous system's oldest survival code completing itself for the first time in years. Let it run. Stand with your feet shoulder-width apart. Micro-bend the knees. Not a squat, just a softening. Enough that the thighs begin to register effort. Now let the legs begin a small, rapid oscillation. Not a movement you perform, a vibration you allow. As if the legs want to shake and you simply stop blocking them. Do not control it. The instruction is to allow, not to perform. Control is the very habit we are dissolving. Let the tremor spread, up through the knees, into the hips, into the psoas, up the spine if it wants to travel there. Hold it. 60 seconds. Sustained. If you are feeling heat moving into your hands right now, that is your capillaries reopening. That is epinephrine being metabolized through your muscle spindles as we speak. That is not imagination. That is chemistry. And this is only the first session. Here is what follows. Day 1. The epinephrine that has been circulating in your bloodstream begins to metabolize. Your HRV shifts. Sleep onset shortens. You fall asleep faster than you have in months. Day 7. The psoas begins releasing its chronic contraction. The lower back decompresses. The hip flexors soften. You feel taller, looser, less braced. Day 30. The fascia rehydrates. Sleep architecture changes. More slow-wave sleep, the deep restorative phase, and with it more of the growth hormone released in that window. The reticular activating system recalibrates to a new, lower baseline. You are no longer living in a quiet, permanent alarm. If you are wearing a wearable right now, check your HRV. The shift we said would happen in 60 seconds. It happened. Every other mammal on Earth completes this cycle automatically. The gazelle does it. The elk does it. The dog does it after the car nearly hits it. Modern humans are the only species trained to abort the one biological protocol that discharges the physical residue of stress. You now know what was removed, and you know how to run it. The man next to you in the office is carrying 20 years of stored stress in his psoas right now. He will go home, drink to relax, sleep badly, and wake up still holding it. You now have a 60-second protocol his doctor has never heard of and his gym cannot give him. And the pathway you just opened, the vagal highway, carries 80% of its signals upward from body to brain. There is a second mechanism on that same nerve, one that amplifies everything you just discharged through a single sound frequency the ancients encoded on purpose and modern physiology is only now decoding. That is the next transmission.